All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't done so, check out our sponsor, The Kilted Patriot. You can check them out at kiltedpatriot.com. I have gotten to see some of the new stuff that they are putting out and that either is currently available or will be available soon. And it's pretty great. Some really cool swag and apparel and just useful items that we can all use day to day. I've got one of their new fanny packs. I'm really excited for that. Some of the t-shirts, headbands, things like that are really great. And I got a chance to chat with Tim and Dave this past weekend at Central. And there's some more cool big things coming on the horizon. So go check them out. Go check out the Woodridge Farm Celtic Festival. That is live on Heavy Athlete, as well as the Battlefield Country Store anniversary games. We're going back to the Battlefield Country Store. You can check both of those out on Heavy Athlete. Sign up for them, and we will see you there. Battlefield is in July, and Woodridge is in September. So enjoy the episode. There we go. Now it'll all be up in the cloud. So, but yeah, so we're talking about social media in the Highland Games. So like Reels and YouTube videos, and trying to plan that into budgets and what it. So the discussion Evan and I had was he really wanted to do the Reels because like that makes the most sense with today's demographic and where people see things and all of that.
Yep.
I personally really wanted the long form YouTube stuff, you know, because like that's what I enjoy watching. That's what I want to see. And like, I personally think they both need to exist because like, yeah, we need the general public and we need that initial grab of the Reels. But like, I think once people do get invested and once you hook them, I think a good thing to have, because every other sport has it, is a way to watch the competition, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the long form stuff too, which is why I originally reached out to Evan, because it was always sort of the plan to do it at Sedalia this year to make that YouTube video. And I wanted to do it for you house. You know, we ran those couple, quick videos for the festival beforehand to kind of lead up to it. And I was really racking my brain about like just how could I do it? Like, do I just set cameras or this or that? And I saw that Evan had created that media company, and so I reached out to him because I figured that was really the only way that while ADing and announcing, having someone else there dedicated to video is the only way to do it. And that, Evan was super cool and, cut us a pretty good deal for the first time. But it's hard to fit into the budget in the future without outside sponsorship.
Yeah, to pay what that's actually worth, is tough because it's not cheap if you want something that's like actually quality that someone takes the time to put together and do. Even if they aren't taking the time to put it together, like a good videographer alone costs money, and then it's hours out of my day in life to try and put it together, which I'd keep saying I would do, and then I just never have the time to do.
It's hard. It's hard to make the time to do that kind of stuff, and also the amount of time is just crazy. Talking to Evan, he said he spent probably almost 30 hours editing that first video, and some of that's creating the graphics and stuff that could be used again in later videos. So it would cut if we did more, but it's a ton of time on top of everything else you're trying to do.
Yeah, on top of his 9-hour day to be out there and his travel to get out there, and
exactly.
Like because it's I don't think people understand that, because you'll hear a figure and it seems crazy just to go, oh, it's a 15-minute YouTube video. Like, cool, but like you said, it takes 30 hours to put together. So if you start breaking it down that way, that's wildly different.
Yeah, it's a lot, but like I was saying just before we actually started recording, like I'm like, that YouTube video didn't get a ton of views, didn't gain a ton of traction. It's like 200 views or whatever. But on my small YouTube channel, it's actually kind of a lot. But like I'm worried that if it's a one-off thing, or it only happens in Australia every year or whatever, like it's never actually going to gain the traction. Like there needs to be more of them to gain that traction that we're looking for, but the budget constraints and what games we can travel to and that kind of stuff is just, it makes it tough.
Yeah, it's one of those things where people have to be willing to like grind at it for as long as it would take within reason. I mean, there's a certain point where everyone would have to look and say this isn't working, but if you're going to prioritize something that the sport really hasn't done well in the past, like it's going to take time. I mean, I'm on year 3 of doing this podcast, 2 or 3, and like it's grown slowly and steadily, like over time. Like it didn't just pop off and go somewhere. Like it literally just took time to keep putting stuff out and keep putting stuff out and try to make it into something.
Yeah, and I'm sure also there's the lessons learned and learning curve on all of this. Like if we did another YouTube, there's things we learned from the first one that could make it a little bit better, and that might help it gain traction too. So
yeah, and then hopefully, honestly, like if we could find someone to work with routinely that gets to know the Highland games, that's less time of their day it would take to actually make it. Like once they understand what they're filming and what the narrative is and how all of that works,
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it was very weird for Evan to sit there and have to figure out. I know you gave him notes and stuff, but
yeah,
just showing up to one and being like, "Oh, I have to record it," and then somehow make this make sense had to be crazy.
If you watch that YouTube video, you can see the videography get progressively better throughout the day. Because Stones was, just learning kind of where you have to stand and set up your camera and that kind of stuff, and then all the other distance events are pretty similar. So you can see like a progression even throughout that first YouTube video of Evan learning what looks good and what needs to be done.
Yeah, 100%. So, all that to say, if anyone hasn't watched the YouTube video, go watch it because it's actually pretty cool. I watched it through a couple of times, and sent it to a few people. It's really nice to have a 10-minute thing you can sit down and watch and know everything that happened that day, or at least everything of merit.
Yeah, and
So
I've shown a couple people, just close to me, including my wife, and one thing that a lot of them said was they like that the YouTube video shows the full throws. Like a lot of the reels and stuff, you never see your hand. You just see some dude spinning fast and letting it go, and like it looks fast, but like, did it go anywhere? Did it go far? They're like, so it offers a different aspect of throwing to a kind of the casual viewer.
Yeah, like I think it's a bit more of a holistic approach where you're getting a little bit of everything when you've got that type of content. Because like I still need to upload the Central Carolina games, and it'll be that long form sort of stuff that like Throw Bros used to do, which is cool when you're a very dedicated athlete because you'll sit there and look for a thrower whose like technique you want to emulate and how did they do this and all that. Yeah, and that's really cool for us. No one else is really reaping a benefit of watching us all throw hammer, throw hammer, throw hammer, throw hammer, throw hammer, throw like,
right.
Yeah,
like was it the Utah games? One they uploaded like event by event.
Dude, that one still, that's how I've done all mine because I love that one so much because when I'm trying to hammer lightweight, I will go back and watch Damian Fisher throw like 2 of his lightweight throws just on repeat. I'll go find them in that video.
Yeah.
And I'll watch them. Or it's the same for hammer or wob or whatever. Like I have a video that I know is a good technical model, and I'll just go rewatch that 10-second segment over and over again. Yeah.
Just screwing up the YouTube algorithm for that video.
Yeah. It's like, why? You look at the stats, and it's like, someone watched this section 50 times. So, oh, man. But, yeah, so the games need more of that. And where does the money come from? I don't know. How do we make it mutually beneficial to us and potentially to try and find someone to sponsor that,
Yeah.
That's the trick, because what's someone's return on their investment if they say, yeah, I'll sponsor your social media? Because right now, 200 views.
Right.
What is 200 views worth to someone?
Not
Not a ton.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But if we can grow them to a place where, hey, these games videos are regularly getting 500 to 1,000 even, that might be worth at least offsetting that cost.
Yeah.
And someone is now your video sponsor.
Yeah.
Because if their logo's in the corner the whole time and all of that, that might be worth $500 to someone,
Yeah. Just your title sponsor of it or whatever, presented by whoever.
Yeah. But now the bad part is that in the meantime, some of us are just sat there holding it in our hands until until that happens.
Right.
So, yeah, but that's all right. It is what it is. So anyway, this is the Jon Harding episode. Hooray!
Yeah.
For anyone that doesn't know who you are, John, like, how long have you been in the games? How long have you been pro? Where are you from? Give a little.
Yeah. So I've been in the games for 10 years now. First games was Greenville, so Memorial Day weekend, 10 years ago, so almost exactly 10 years. I went pro in 2019, so whatever that math works out to be with COVID shutting down a bunch of years and games and stuff like that. So I've been pro since the end of 2019. And right now I'm living in Southwest Virginia, probably 40 minutes southwest of Virginia Tech.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. And then one of the reasons we've got you on is because you've started now kind of diversifying what you're doing in the game. So you've thrown for 10 years. You've kind of, for a good chunk of that, had a little YouTube channel, with breakdowns. What I really like is you've got, like, ways to make cheap homemade implements. Like, I've sent that video to a few people here and there, for people that aren't ready to bite the bullet or can't for some reason on buying a real set of weights or a real hammer.
Yeah.
And like practice breakdowns. Yeah. Yeah, so like equipment stuff, practice breakdowns, and then most recently that more long form one of the Sedalia games, I guess A class or super, whatever you ended up calling it for this year.
The amateurs is what we called it at the festival, whatever that means.
Yeah. I think it was the guys that weren't novices, but yeah. It sounds a lot better. So, you've done that. You've started to run, and we just talked about it. So this year you've got 4 games that you either have run or will run in total. So Sedalia and Loch Norman, which have already happened.
Yep.
And then Asheville and Radford, which are coming up toward the latter half of the year. So what was the first one you took over? Was it Radford or Sedalia, or did those happen the same year?
So I took over Sedalia and Radford last year.
Okay. God, my timeline's all screwy. Okay. So you took those over from, shout out Chad Clark. Not that he ever listens to this, but the more opportunities I get to say Chad's name, the better. And Chad had run those games, among others, for, what, a decade or more?
As long as I've been in the games. Yeah. Chad was running Radford. Sedalia, about the same. Sedalia, I think, started in maybe 2018 again or something like that. So
yeah, and I want to say, because he had done Greenhill, I think Greenhill had run longer than those other ones prior. Because I think when I first did Greenhill in like 2017, it was an anniversary game. I don't remember if it was like 5th or 10th or what, but it had been going on for a little while.
That sounds right.
And Radford's been going for a while, right?
Yeah.
Probably. In some way, form, or fashion. I know they've had it off campus and then on campus, and
yeah, if it's not 25 years this year, it's somewhere around there.
Yeah, and Chad's been a part of probably a pretty good chunk of that.
There's old pictures of him throwing at Radford.
That's what I'm saying. I know him and Greg Martz, like, that was Greg's first game, was like Radford back in 1989 or something weird.
Whatever.
But yeah, he's so old. He also won't listen to this. It doesn't matter. I could say whatever I want about Greg and Chad. It'll all be nice, but if I wanted to be mean, not that anyone could be mean to them. They're so nice. But so in taking over these games, and some of them may be different because Chad's games versus not Chad's games versus. I don't even know if will Asheville kind of qualify. Is that going to be similar to what Chad had been doing? It's a different time of year, so I'm assuming it's kind of not the same.
It's not going to be. The one in Asheville isn't going to be like the Asheville Celtic Festival like it has been.
Okay.
When Chad was running it, we were doing it at the Ag Center, Expo Center, whatever it's called, for the indoor February games where everything was indoor except us.
Yeah.
And then this is actually a brewery, I guess a little just outside of Asheville, Mills River Brewery.
Okay.
From what I understand, they did a demo last year, and it was like a big hit. Everyone really liked it. The brewery really liked it. They have the space, and they're like, let's try to put on games. So
awesome.
Working that right now. It's supposed to be first week of August. Well, I think August 1st, whatever that Saturday is, and then and hopefully we'll have more information out about that pretty soon since it's coming up.
I wonder what my calendar looks like August 1st. Now I'm curious. Really exciting part of the podcast where I pull out my phone and don't talk to anyone. There's nothing on there right now. All right, so how was taking over Sedalia and Radford specifically as like standing festivals from Chad? Were there growing pains, things you wanted to change, things you wanted to keep the same? Like, what was the thought process when you got those?
Yeah, so Chad reached out to me, I think it was last February. Basically, there was less than 6 weeks or about 6 weeks between the time that Chad called me and when the festival actually happened. So planning for that festival had already started. Basically, I looked at it as, the wheels that were turning or whatever, everything in motion. I was just going to kind of continue on with it. I've been to those games so often, and Chad had already introduced me to some of the people at the festival. So taking over that first one, I didn't really want to make any changes, just because I didn't feel like there was time. Like 6 weeks, not enough planning time. And I mean, Sedalia is one of those festivals so small. There's not much you can change, right? We're in that basically we're limited in the events we can throw. We're limited in the setup we can have because it all needs to fit in there. So not a ton of changes.
I mean, true, but also not, because I mean, changing how we do trophies and how we organize flights and how we advertise those flights, and there's other things I'd say you've definitely been trying to shift.
That's a fair point. Actually, I guess my favorite thing about change that I've made at Sedalia is the clinic beforehand. Sedalia doesn't open; the gates don't open till 11 or noon. We never started throwing till then. So if we could get out there early and invite people to come to a clinic, learn from, pros or people who've been there for a long time, been throwing for a long time. Last year, Matt McDougall came, did a little bit with us. Jerry Witzman. This year, Heather Haddock took over a lot of it, and man, what a great resource that is. Like, she's been in the games as long as I've been alive. So, the clinic beforehand, and it worked out really well this year with opening it up to the novices. First time throwers. If you've never thrown before, sign up, but come to the clinic first. It was basically the deal. And partially that's just the size of the field. Having first time throwers on there sometimes gets a little sketchy. So, but having get reps beforehand, gets rid of some of that the bad things that could happen with new throwers.
Getting the nerves out for them, and it kind of giving them a chance to learn they're not going to muck it up, because half the time they're mucking it up because they're so nervous,
right?
Because they haven't done it before, and that field feels really small when you first go out there,
But on it, this year, we changed the setup a little bit just because we didn't have someone that was in danger of going 82 feet in the lightweight and putting it into the crowd. We could have the trig set up a little bit differently, because it was
so nice that I'm not capable of that. Way to rub that in. Appreciate it. But so yeah, that's kind of cool. Are there? So I didn't make Radford last year, because you have one game at the beginning of turkey season almost, and your other one's dead in the middle of deer season. So thanks for that.
First day of bow season every year.
Yeah. But have you been trying to implement changes over there as well? Has there been like a direction you're trying to push anything in, or things you're advocating for, or doing differently than they've been done?
So Radford, I mean, the festival itself is going through a bunch of changes this year. Before it's been run pretty much by people on campus, like the university's been the one setting it up, and this year they're sharing that responsibility with the city of Radford,
Okay.
which I think in the long run will be really good. I think it'll work out really well. This year might be kind of a learning curve for people, people trying to figure out what their job is and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, definitely Radford is an established festival. It has a great turnout, a good crowd every year. I think Radford could grow as much as they wanted it to, which is what I've been talking to them about this year. It's like, hey, like if you want to grow, let's do it. Let's put bigger names on the have a pro class. If you want to expand into piping competitions, like let's start working on that now, because they have the room, they have the crowd, like they can do it if they wanted to. So I'm pushing for having a pro class. We've had pro classes in the past, but generally that's just people coming out for no money, or a little bit of
it's whatever, guys. Yeah, for maybe a hotel room that Chad told them they got the night before they showed up.
Maybe. Like last year, Graham and Nick Ponzio just stayed at my house, and I shot them both like a little bit of gas money. Like there was no prize money or anything like that. It's just sort of the pros coming out because they want to, which is awesome, and I'm really grateful that people are willing to do that. But I'd like to have a real pro class. I'd like to have prize money and be able to bring some people in, because I think Radford would be a great place to do it. It's a cool venue. It's got a great crowd. It's established already. Like there's no reason we couldn't have a bigger pro class on the field.
Yeah, they've proven they can already do what they're doing. So I mean, why not try to add to it?
Exactly.
And there's no reason not to, especially like you're saying, if the city's now involved, like to actually make that some sort of destination or something to bring in people and dollars and eyes and all of that.
Yeah, I think it's good. I would really like to run Radford, and this is like all planning stages, so nothing's set in stone. But I think it'd be really cool to run 2 separate competitions. Have a morning competition and then an afternoon competition. And part of that is like people don't stick around for 9 hours to see who wins or anything like that. But they might be there for 4 hours. They could, even if they're wandering around the rest of the festival, they're around for all of the events that would go into full competition. And since Radford's also small and we can't throw hammers, we could run 5 events. Competition in the morning, all 5 events. Competition in the afternoon, all 5 events. So people there in the morning can see it, people there in the afternoon can see it, and people there in the middle would catch the tail end of one and the beginning of the next. So they'd still get kind of that experience.
No, that's a really cool idea. I love hearing people try to tackle the same problem different ways, because like I talked about with Langworthy, I've had off-air conversations with at least 3 other ADs that just like a 9-hour day, no one else is doing that other than our families,
right?
Like they're the only people that will be there from the first throw to the last throw. Like if you keep a person around for 2 to 3 events, like you've done as much as you can. Like that's I went over during Crystal Coast and like bought a fan a t-shirt because he was there all day. Like this dude followed us around and like learned our names, and he was the only guy, one guy at the entire Crystal Coast game was for sure there and not related to anyone, all day long, start to finish.
That's awesome.
So, like, I went over to the merch tent and I was like, give me a t-shirt, whatever you got that's cheap and roughly that guy's size. And I was like, here, please, thank you for doing that, because what is wrong with you?
Right.
But,
yeah. I mean, more than you could ask of most people.
yeah. And then I went over there and found out he was in a wheelchair. So there's a solid chance he couldn't leave. But, you know, I'm just going to pretend he was a fan. But, so, I just think that's interesting, because I like that there's a wave of people coming in saying, hey, this is a problem and we all need to work around it some type of way if we want the sport to grow. Or you can be one of the dinosaurs and say, nope, this is what we do and this is how we do it. And then, you know, I don't know, enjoy losing athletes in games and dying out. And if you're cool with that, cool. It's your business. But
yeah, I mean, it's coming into the AD space, like trying to balance all of those things is really hard, right? Because on one hand, like I want to make the spectator experience a whole lot better, you know, whether it's throwers closer to the crowd or getting more interaction or getting people to see a full competition, but then like also making sure that it's benefiting the athletes as well. Because like, excuse me, you know, I don't really know the conception of a 5-event games that you're only there for half a day of. You know, maybe people love it, maybe athletes are not super keen on it. I'll be interested to kind of see the reception of it too.
yeah, but there's only one way to figure it out, and that's to, you know, run it and see what happens.
Yeah,
you know,
get the feedback.
So, yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You find another way around it, or you just go back to running a full game. But like you said, Radford has existed for 25 years or whatever, however long. And it's always been a 5-event game because there's never been hammer space. There was a year that I did it where it was off campus in like 2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
We threw hammers that year. Someone threw one through a headlight of a car. So maybe we should have still not done it. But
yeah. Putting the hammers in the corner where all the cars parked was
not the best idea ever.
Not the best idea, but we did have room.
That was really cool,
those 2 years or whatever
Yeah.
it was. But it's so much cooler back on campus, even if we can't throw hammers. Like,
and that's what I'm saying. I think as long as there are more games, which is a thing I've always kind of tried to preach, of just everyone do more backyarders, more festivals, more in-between games. If people have opportunities to get their hammer scores in elsewhere, I don't see why in October you wouldn't be totally cool with going and throwing a 5-event game. I'm cool with doing them at Sedalia because it's a season opener, so it's one less event I have to hammer the crap out of prior to that. I can focus on stones and weights, and then after Sedalia, go focus on hammers. Like, it kind of forces me to break my training up, you know?
Yeah.
And come October, when I'm feeling beat up, cool. I can, once again, stop beating hammers into the ground and work on other stuff. So, I think as long as everyone's doing something, I think it's fine. You know?
Yeah.
So other games that you've taken over, so you've got Asheville and you've got Loch Norman. Loch Norman you started running this year.
Yep.
Did you have, a lot of time to kind of make it your own game, or was this kind of like a Sedalia year one where kind of short notice, so we're going to run with what's been working and go from there? Or
it was a little bit of both. I had more time than with Sedalia, but you didn't have like the full year to plan for it. Definitely looking forward to next year and having a little bit more time to work on stuff like that. But coming into anything like that, like, I feel like you don't want to change, especially with the Norman, right? Like, it's such a big games. You know, athletes and spectators are used to a certain thing, and you don't want to go in making too many big changes. So a lot of the changes for Loch Norman this year were just a little bit different, right? We changed up the field setup to try to get throwers closer to the crowd. I've thrown at Loch Norman a bunch, and I always felt really far away from the crowd at times. When they put hammers, or not hammers, sorry, like weights out in the middle of the field or the stones out in the middle of the field. Like, let's move the trig to some place that we can get more spectators right around the throws, because watching Braemar from 100 feet away is you can't tell what's going on. 35 feet and 38 feet look exactly the same. There's a way to tell. So getting people in closer, I think it helps the spectator experience, gets people more involved because they can actually see, how far things are going. So it was more little changes like that. Changed up registration a little bit. We had that application process where we looked at your heavy athlete scores from the year before that kind of ranked you into A's and B's, and that kind of stuff. So not huge changes, but definitely changes.
Yeah. So speaking of doing qualifying or application games, what was your thought process behind implementing that system? Was there a specific reason, or is it just John likes to do this?
I'd never done it that way. One, so I wanted to try it and kind of see what the reception was. Two, a lot of the games that I've AD'd before are pretty small. Right? There's barely an A class and a B class. Sometimes they're all mixed, sometimes a little bit of clear distinction. And so I thought that doing it the ranking way kind of takes me out of the invite process, right? Right. Like I invite this person and someone gets left out, because it has to go to the B's or whatever, like I'm not as in tune with the amateur ranks as I once was. So having the system is just sort of like, okay, like here's my criteria. It's based on this. It's not me inviting you because I know you or I like you or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So more clear cut, like way to figure out A's and B's. And then also,
I feel like A's and oh no, go ahead.
The last thing is, like, I always really liked having that goal, right? I want to make sure I'm in the Loch Norman class next year. Like maybe that's the extra push to go try to get some bigger numbers this year. And I like that idea, like the goal trying to get into a certain class or a certain games based on your performance.
Yeah.
Like I would have liked.
Yeah, I'm wondering why because you started in the games 2 or 3 years ahead of me, and like we threw together for a good little chunk of time before you went pro, and like it was you, me, Bryce McCraw, and like a few other guys, Randy Sylvester, that were like always at least the Southwest Virginia games together, and like then a few other places. So like, I feel like A's and B's was a lot more talked about then than it is now. And like, do you have any idea why that is, or is it hard to tell being up there in your ivory pro tower? Like what my suspicion is it's due to athlete numbers. And again, I think the A class has shrunk. I think we just have less athletes that stay in it for long enough to do that.
Yeah.
And so I think festivals are then forced to lump everyone together,
Yeah. No, I think you're right. There's like looking at some of the A classes recently, there's a lot of new throwers, right? There's a lot of people who haven't been in the games that long. And so I think it's the number of athletes shrinking and people, like the turnover is higher now. Like people aren't staying in the games as long. So yeah, like bringing in new athletes. So it's something always, on my mind.
Yeah. So is that one of those things, kind of like the same theme that we talked about with social media in the games of, are we going to have to bite the bullet and say, we only have a couple A's this year because y'all didn't make the cut. Sucks to suck. Go throw with the B's. even at our detriment, you know, to try and encourage people to do that? Or do you see a solution there that I am not seeing or thinking of, you know? Like, because we almost can't, because as ADs, we're looped into the festival. They're expecting a certain thing from us, and a flight of 4 people is really hard to sell.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you don't want to have just 4 people. And there's definitely been pro classes that are only 4 people, but like ideally you want more than that in a class. And so I mean, it's a good question. I don't really know. Like, do we need to set numbers, right? You have to throw a 60-foot lightweight or whatever. Like, is that?
Well, it used to be what Shag had it written down in their rule book of like a 22 or 25 foot heavy, 50 or 55 foot lightweight, like a 12-foot wob. But like they had numbers that were you have to throw 3 out of these 4 because they also had a hammer number in there in order to throw an A class, along with winning a B class. You know, like I will rarely sing Shag's praises, but that's one of those times where I was like, at least someone wrote down the difference. And as I was saying that, I was like, you know, ADs could at least have them throw as one flight, but you can score them separately. Everyone in that flight doesn't have to compete against everyone else. You know, the crowd doesn't know that, but the athletes will.
The athletes will. I mean, the crowd doesn't know that unless you're trying to get the crowd to know that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's your call on your game. Like, do you just want them to see 15 guys throwing, or do you want them to pay attention to these 4 out of those 15, you know?
Right. And I think going back to, I guess, changes I didn't talk about at Sedalia, this year, I think one of the reasons that we had such a good crowd all the way till the end of the day, and I mean, you've thrown at Sedalia before when we're throwing wall alone, right? There's no crowd left. I think one of the reasons
everyone peeled off
such a crowd at the end is because the focus of the day was on that storyline of your group, right? We tried the re-ranking after every single event. So person in last place overall through first in the event, and the person in first place overall through last in the event. I think it made it really easy for me, the announcer, to follow and relay that information to the crowd of, oh, this person's in this place overall. They need to do this to move up. They need this to happen to, you know, get into the picture higher. And so, like, if that was the focus for me for Sedalia this year is running that storyline throughout the day. And so if you have a class of 15 people with 5 A's and 10 B's, like, does that storyline get confusing?
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think it would. So
you just, I think, as the AD or as the announcer or whoever's making that decision of what the focus is going to be, like, you have to take those things into consideration too. So,
no, that's fair. And something else you talked about, which I want to say that was the first game I'd been to that had done it that way, was making the order of the events based on placing. Not just for selfish reasons, in that I was in first overall for like the first 3 events until Spencer started beating me. But like, I like that. I think it gives people a reason to continue trying to stay up, to have that advantage going round to round. I thought that was a really nice way to do it. Like, as an athlete, I enjoy having that incentive as it goes.
right.
You know, because I want that advantage of seeing what everyone else is throwing, so I know when I have to push and when I can not. And I don't know. I think that was really cool. I wish more games would take the time to figure that out. I know it's more work to rewrite the sheet every time, but like, if you only have 6 guys in the class, it's no reason not to. You know.
Yeah. The math was fairly easy when there was how many were there? There was 8 of you? There's 8.
Brandon, both East brothers, Spencer, me, Chaz,
Walter.
Who's Walter? Oh yeah, Walter threw with us. Yeah. Sorry, Walter.
There was 7.
That's right. Yeah, 7 guys.
Yeah, and there were a couple hiccups in the math throughout the day, but we got it all sorted out, but it made it so easy to relay to the crowd the overall story of the games, right? Like, it was really easy to tell who's in 4th place overall, and I mean the big storyline of that day kind of came down to Chaz and Jesse duking it out for 3rd place. Because
I was going to say we actually had a really good group to be able to try and tell that storyline, because you had me and Spencer just swapping 1s and 2s for most of the day, and then he pulled ahead and was unbeatable by the second half.
Yeah.
But you had this really cool dynamic of the 2 of us keeping enough of a buffer to where 3rd and 4th were now very up for grabs going into all of the last events, which made it really cool to watch, you know? Because you got to watch a couple of guys just do cool stuff, but then you also got to sit there and root for who's going to round out that podium, and is so-and-so going to pass so-and-so. It was very easy to follow, but very compelling, from that angle.
Yeah, and it was, I thought, making notes for Evan for the video, that you get that nice kind of hindsight aspect analysis of it. It turns out that Jesse making that sheaf toss on his 3rd throw at I think 26 or something like that was the deciding throw. Is if he had missed it with countbacks, he would have ended up 5th or 6th place and eaten so many points that he probably couldn't have caught Chaz. But making that throw is what got him to 3rd place and able to hold it. So
yeah,
it was cool.
It turned out really cool, so I wouldn't mind seeing more of that, But I do think it's easier to have a group that small at a 5-event game versus a 9. I think your field starts to look really empty on bigger fields when you have flights of 6 to 8 people as opposed to areas like that. Because if you have 2 flights and stone lifting, you've really filled up the field at Sedalia. There's not a lot of empty space anywhere.
It's tight. Same thing with stone lifting plus 2 flights or 3 flights is really all that field can hold. It can't hold any more than that.
Yeah. But all right, so we've talked about Sedalia, we've talked about Locke, we've talked about Radford. Did you want to say anything about what people can expect from the Asheville games? I mean, brewery, cool location, first year having a real festival, so is it just kind of a come out and party and enjoy the vibe sort of thing, or is there something you're trying to accomplish with it? Do you have a grand plan yet?
I don't have a grand plan yet. Still, I mean, it's still in the planning phases, making sure that we can get judges and all that kind of stuff. From what, I mean, definitely at a brewery, all these brewery games, they're fun, right? Even when they're more serious games, when they're at breweries, they're just fun.
Dude, I will put Woodridge up as a party spot against any game. It's only in its 3rd year, but I know I'm biased, but it's just fun. It's fun to be there.
Yeah, it's great, and I think I mean you run a great event too, which helps. Everything's run smoothly, but it just being at a brewery adds something. It's sort of like Holiday Highlander too, right? Obviously a great run event, but also it's at a brewery and it's fun. You can go get a beer, you can go get whatever pub food they have or whatnot, food truck
or food trucks. Yeah,
exactly. It's just a good time. So I'm hoping that is the same here, right? It's gonna be fun. Good throws, get some beers, and food. The field, from what I hear, is just absolutely gigantic. So we have room to do basically whatever we want. And something that I've always wanted to try, and I don't know if it will happen at Woodridge, but something that I was looking at for the Pulaski games if they had continued, was going further and figuring out how to get the crowd closer to the athletes. And of all the games that I've been to, when the crowd's right on top of you, that's always when they're most engaged. The last year that they had the Rhode Island games, like there was a dude, probably 8 feet away from you when you were throwing weights, like to a point of like being dangerous, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like they were into it. They were right on top of you. They were right in the action the whole time. And so I'd like to see if there's a way to figure out how to get the crowd that close in a safer way, and maybe it's just for stones. Maybe, like no one's shanking a stone off 90 degrees into the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So like, can we set up the stone trig to get the crowd and spectators like almost surrounding you? Like, and
Oh, yeah.
it,
Almost kind of angling it in.
right. Like we
That's
have,
cool.
we have a sector, and like, could you be in here and the crowd could be here?
Ooh.
Like it wouldn't work for weights because that'd be dangerous, but like could it work?
No, but I'm going to write that down on my notes app for Woodridge this year because I like that.
And just try it, right? See, spectators like it. Make sure the athletes aren't too bothered by it. Obviously probably a little more bothered than they would be if there was nobody to the side, but I think it'd be really cool to get that close. So hoping to at least try one of those kind of experiments, getting the crowd closer, see if we can get them into it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, because you're right. I mean, like at Woodridge, we're able to put the sheaf standard pretty close, and it's in that corner, so you do kind of get them on both sides, and that's nice. And I remember the last year they had Richmond, like that was really cool because they had the sheaf tower set up right here, and they literally had bleachers in front of it.
Yeah.
So like 15 feet away, bleachers that people could come sit on, and like they end up staying there as long as there's someone throwing sheaf. They're gonna stay there because they're like right on top of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, big fan of that. Yeah, I'm gonna put some thought into how do we do that at least a little bit for weights and stuff. My initial thought is like short dog panels.
Yep.
Like knee height ones, something.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even if they're a little taller, you can see through it. So you just put that up and leave the crowd a couple feet behind that, But it's still closer than, having them 20 feet away from you or whatever, 30 feet away from you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. All right, I got to stop daydreaming. We're podcasting. So that's everything I had on my checklist of like really wanting to make sure that we talked about, as well as we've touched on some other stuff. What do you think my odds are of ever getting Chad Clark to come on here and yap? Like if I just drop into the brewery he's working at now, you think I can just corner him into a microphone?
I don't know, man. He actually, I know Chad just took a new full-time job, so I'm not sure how much he's at the brewery right now.
That's what I was going to ask, because I saw him post something the other day, and it made me think, is he or is he not still out there? Because I just said the other day, I was like, I need to go out to that brewery. Like, I haven't seen it since Chad started doing all their media stuff and yada, yada.
Yeah.
But
he took a job kind of back in the healthcare field where he'd been before. So,
yeah,
I don't know how much he's at the brewery or what he's doing with that.
Either way, I miss the jacked Santa stoner. So
yeah, I miss Chad a lot. I miss Chad in these games. So
yeah, I was trying like hell. He wanted to come out to Woodridge last year and just throw like sheaf and wob, and I was like, yeah, 100%. I'll put you in your own flight. It'll just be the Chad Clark flight, and you can show up and do those two events, and then like go smoke behind the shed. I don't care. Like anyone else, I would care. Don't any of you take that as a carte blanche, come do this. No, that is a Chad Clark exclusive
invitation
thing.
Yeah. No, I'd love to see Chad back in the games, or even if he's not, running them or that kind of stuff. I'd love to see him. Period.
Yeah. This is my call for everyone. If you had Chad Clark's number or got you on Facebook, harass him right now. The second you listen to this episode, message him and be like, come visit the games, do it. And let him be confused as to why he all of a sudden got a bunch of messages over like a 2-day period.
Yeah.
But awesome, man. How is your looking up competitive wise? Like, have you got some games on the horizon, or what are you What are you looking to do? Are we going back to Celtic? Are we going to Worlds? What's the vibe?
Not going to Worlds. Those invites went out. Celtic, I don't think so. I have number 3 on the way.
Okay.
So
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, very excited. So, I don't think I'm going to be competing a ton. Just other things to do. I'm going to start my season a lot better. Probably open up at Grandfather Mountain. And so I don't even know if would make Celtic. Like I have a couple scores that I would need to bring up to go. Like I'm riding the bubble right now, but I think that'll change.
Yeah.
So right now, throwing at Grandfather is the plan. Woodridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Woodridge, and then if so my dad lives in Toccoa, Georgia, which is like 15 minutes from that North Georgia Highland Games in September. That's always the weekend is Celtic. So I would like to do that one. I haven't been able to do it because I've been at before. And so going there, it's a charity games. It's right by my dad's house. It'd be a good, reason to bring, the baby down to see grandpa and hang out with family a little bit. So I'd like to do those ones. And then, I don't know. After that, we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, cool. How has stepping more into the AD space kind of shifted your mindset with your competitive space, if it has at all? Have those two worlds kind of pushed back on each other or had to find a middle ground?
So it was always the plan to sort of step back a little more this year. Like last year, balancing ADing and being competitive or trying to be competitive was tough just because they both take a lot of time in very different ways, right? Like, sending emails and following up with people is just different than training, right? Like, so, so it was tough last year. This year, it was always sort of planned to step back. Like I gave myself one more year last year to try hard. The goal was to place at Celtic. I ended up getting hurt, and that didn't happen, right? But I gave myself one more year to try really hard, and then I was always planning to kind of step back this year. So they're not really at odds with each other because I'm just sort of following my plan of not trying to be a competitor.
Yeah. Okay. So more of a natural attrition and the way things were going to head.
Yeah.
Either way.
Exactly.
So. No, but that's great. I mean, it makes sense. You got number 3 on the way, a little more family time, another baby to baby. So the rocks and weights will always be there,
Exactly. So it's nice not trying to be as competitive too. Like I'm having a lot more fun, like practicing with my kids. With my children.
The first year I ran games and tried to throw at those games and still be competitive. Like, God, that was dumb. I wish I had just known that was gonna be really stupid. Like, it's impossible. It already makes your year much harder and fatigues you in different ways and eats up your time in different ways. And but on top of that, if you try and throw at the same game that you're trying to run, Jesus Christ, no, there's no.
It's hard. Last year I had a pro pull out of Radford, and so in order to get it to be like a pro games, I threw as well as announced and AD'd, and I just took like one old throw after everybody else to put in, like, so that I'd have a mark. Is like there's no way that I could actually do all of that.
Yeah, no, it's a weird thing, and what I've found, like, it's hard when I have a 2-week really big push of motivation to go, like, all right, I'm gonna send a crap ton of sponsor emails and follow-ups and work on the website, work on promo material. Like, it almost seems like those are the weeks where I'm like, God, I just don't want to go train. Because, like, all of my hyperfixation and Highland Games gas tank ends up getting spent over here in this block with talking to venues, talking to sponsors, talking to vendors, doing all of that stuff. And I'm lucky if I lift a couple times that week and throw a couple times. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I shame myself into doing at least a little bit. But oh man. All right. Well, hey man, anything else that's on your radar or going on in the Highland Games world that Jon Harding has a hot take on? You know? I mean, if you're gonna step back from pro invites anyway, you know, just screw it. What do you want to? Who sucks? No, but
I don't know, man. I've actually been kind of focused on the opposite, right? Like stepping into the AD, having had the opportunity to go to so many awesome pro games across the country and just learning of like what I would like to see at my games. It's
well, let's be honest too. Learning things you want to see and things you don't want to see.
yeah,
Like it's important to draw off of both, and it doesn't even mean that somebody else is doing it wrong. It just means that that's not what you want to see more of. You know?
yeah, that's not
I think if we
vibe you want for your games, right? So.
yeah, outside of like very limited exceptions, as long as we have more games, then more diversity is cool. Everyone should run theirs a little different. That's what makes our sport funky and cool. So why not do it that way? But no, that's fair. And honestly, I'm really enjoying watching there be like a new generation of ADs that are all kind of taking that mindset and applying it differently. Of, you know, if I'm going to start doing these games, what do I want to see out of them? What would I like that we have more ADs that are still touching the athlete space, even if they're removed from the AM rank or the pro rank or the masters, whatever. I like that they're still in touch with that, because like it's the first word of your job title, man. You're the athletic director. You're not the festival director. You're not the pipe and band director. Like, you're the athletic director. So I like seeing people's focus be on what do they want to do with the athletics, you know? Like,
and a lot
how
of
do they want to shape it?
a lot of it just stems from like what would I have liked, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would have moved?
Yeah, 100%.
What did I like at these games? You know, what actually makes you want to come back to a certain games as an
And
athlete?
sometimes they're not always what you think. Like, some games it is, oh, the implements are really nice, or oh, the field's really friendly. But like, other games just find their niche and just have a draw and become a thing you want to emulate, even if it's not something that's actively happening on the athletic field. Like, it's fun to argue over wing versus standard trigs, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that debate will never die. But ultimately, like, I don't think there's anyone out here who is only going to go to a game if this kind of trig is present. Like, I don't think that's the deciding factor. I think it's always going to be something else, you know? It's going to be, did they get good breaks, and did they have water around, or were the lunges good, or was the crowd close, and, you know, was their family able to be around, and, you know, did it seem like their judges and scorekeepers were on top of it? Like,
Yeah.
it's going to be stuff like that, I think, that brings people back more often over and over to that same game. And conversely, I think it's one of those overlooked things that some of those ADs who weren't in touch with that, like, don't see, you know? They don't know why everyone's complaining about their judge, because they haven't been judge throwing in 20 years or ever in some cases. And like, your scores came in. What are you mad about? And like, well, I'm mad because I was distracted all day because your marker appears to be nearsighted to the point of can't see past his toes, and I think he's been marking the wrong holes all day, man. Like,
Yeah.
that's frustrating, and now I'm thrown off my game and I'm not having a fun day. And it has nothing to do with the venue or the implement or the trig. Like, it's something else.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah. That kind of little things can add up into big things very quickly.
yeah. Why didn't you have garbage bags to put the sheaves in? Why am I now throwing a 35-pound sheaf when I wasn't supposed to? You know?
Yeah.
All because we had a 1 hour rainstorm. I get that if it rains all day, we're all just going to eat suck sandwich, and it is what it is. But like, man, there's nothing worse than like, hey man, there's a shower that's supposed to hit in 20 minutes. And then somehow, even though we all have access to a weather app, all of our stuff got wet.
Right. snuck up on them somehow, right? Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is, just taking care of the athletes in those kind of little ways, and like trying to get the day to run smooth, and setting expectations can have such a big difference.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was my little bitch session for the day, and it put us just about at that hour mark.
Nice.
So I'm good with calling that. If you're good with it, man, you can get back in there to the fam. My kid is zoned out, playing some sort of space conquering game. So
Nice.
he's good. The dog crapped in the house before the podcast. Everyone's done what they would need to do. So
Good deal, man. I appreciate you having me on.
yeah, buddy, come back anytime.
All right.
Later.
Bye.